Did you know that over 30% of household waste is compostable, yet most of it ends up in landfills? By composting, you're not only reducing waste but also creating nutrient-rich soil for your garden. And guess what? With the right techniques, you can turn scraps into compost in as little as 2 weeks. Stick around as I reveal the secrets to quick composting that will supercharge your garden. Composting doesn't have to be a slow, mysterious process. With a few simple tricks, you can turn kitchen scraps and yard waste into rich, plant-loving compost in as little as 2 to 4 weeks. Let's get started. The first secret to fast composting is getting the right mix of greens and browns. Greens, like fruit and veggie scraps or grass clippings, are rich in nitrogen. Browns, like dried leaves or shredded cardboard, provide carbon. Aim for a 2-to-1 ratio of browns to greens for optimal decomposition. Balancing these materials is crucial because greens provide the energy and protein microbes need to thrive, while browns offer the structure and carbon they use to work efficiently. Too much green? Your pile will get smelly. Too much brown? It'll decompose slowly. Balance is key. Here's a pro tip: if you're ever unsure, add more browns. It's easier to fix a slow pile than a smelly one. Let's dive a little deeper. Greens include things like coffee grounds, tea leaves, and even fresh garden trimmings. Browns, on the other hand, can be things like shredded paper, straw, or even corn stalks. Get creative, but make sure everything is organic and free of chemicals. Here's what happens when your pile is unbalanced. Too many greens make it soggy and smelly, while too many browns make it dry and stagnant. But when you get it right, your pile becomes an efficient, nutrient-producing machine. Another tip? Layer your materials like a lasagna. Start with browns, add greens, and repeat until your pile is built. This layering helps with airflow and keeps the pile well aerated. And remember, the quality of your greens and browns matters too. For example, avoid using diseased plants or glossy, inked paper. Stick to clean, natural materials to keep your compost healthy and chemical-free. Lastly, keep a balance over time. If you add a lot of greens one day, make sure to compensate with extra browns the next. It's all about keeping your pile dynamic and active. Here's a pro tip: the smaller the pieces, the faster they'll break down. Chop up kitchen scraps and shred leaves or cardboard before adding them to your pile. This increases surface area, helping microbes work their magic more quickly. Chopping and shredding materials also prevents clumping, which can slow down the decomposition process. Think of it as making bite-sized pieces for your compost microbes. Plus, it makes turning the pile easier and ensures everything breaks down evenly. It's a small step that makes a big difference. Your compost pile needs to be damp, like a wrung-out sponge. Too dry, and decomposition will slow down. Too wet, and it'll get slimy and smelly. To check the moisture level, grab a handful of compost and give it a squeeze. If water drips out, it's too wet. Add more browns to absorb the excess. If it crumbles apart, it's too dry. Add some water or juicy greens. And don't forget airflow. Turn your pile every few days with a pitchfork or compost aerator to keep oxygen circulating. This speeds up the process and prevents bad odors. Turning also helps to distribute moisture and heat evenly, creating the perfect environment for decomposition. If you notice clumps forming, break them apart to ensure everything is breaking down uniformly. For an extra boost, consider using a raised compost bin or adding sticks and twigs to the bottom of your pile. This encourages airflow from below and keeps the pile from becoming compacted. Want to turbocharge your compost? Compost activators are your secret weapon. These materials boost microbial activity and heat up your pile, speeding up decomposition. Let's look at some great options. Coffee grounds are fantastic for adding nitrogen, while manure, whether from cows, chickens, or horses, provides a balanced dose of nitrogen and microbes. Be sure to use aged manure to avoid introducing pathogens. Another excellent activator is blood meal. It's a high nitrogen additive that jumpstarts microbial growth. Just a handful can make a big difference. You can also use a compost starter mix, which contains concentrated microbes ready to get to work. These are especially useful if you're starting a new pile or want to revive a sluggish one. Fresh grass clippings act as a natural activator too. They're rich in nitrogen and moisture, which helps heat up the pile quickly. And here's a surprising tip: molasses or sugar water can feed the microbes, giving them an extra energy boost to work faster. Just mix a tablespoon of molasses into a gallon of water and sprinkle it over your pile. Using activators is all about creating the ideal conditions for microbes. Combine them with good layering, moisture, and airflow, and you'll have rich compost in no time. If you're really serious about speed, hot composting is the way to go. Build your pile all at once with a mix of greens and browns, at least 3 feet tall and wide, and monitor the temperature. When the pile hits 130 to 160 degrees Fahrenheit, it's breaking down at full speed. Turn it frequently to maintain the heat, and you'll have compost ready in no time. A few quick tips: avoid adding meat, dairy, or oily foods to your compost. They attract pests and slow things down. And always bury fresh scraps under a layer of browns to keep flies away. There you have it, quick composting secrets revealed. With these tips, you'll be growing healthy plants in no time. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more gardening hacks. Thanks for watching, and happy composting!